Today is the day after Thanksgiving, and I have a lot of good food in my system, a lot less pharmaceuticals and things of this nature, substances that create erratic behavior. So my behavior should be a lot better. Also, I am not so emotionally invested in this video as I am going to reflect on my other videos instead of talk about topics that make me really mad, such as eugenics, suppression, repression, oppression, population control, pharmaceuticals, unscrupulous social control, and more. When you look at the level of criminality in society, not just murder, rape, but graft, sedition, usury, and all sorts of despicable behaviors as a result of society being controlled by those who live in a state of spiritual deviance, deviating from what God has set, it becomes very apparent what is going on. The rapid blinking in my videos as a result of intense martial arts on intense pharmaceuticals that are being given to me against my will, surreptitiously, by a clandestine movement to control human behavior by any means necessary. The United States Army Guerrilla Warfare Handbook talks about propaganda campaigns here and abroad, auxiliary groups, proxy groups, controlling civil institutions and political movements, also transitioning those groups and the military into civilian life to maintain a favorable sentiment. Now, one must understand and recognize the grave dangers that these people are posing to humanity and morality. The moral fabric is torn, and it is my onerous and sincere duty to repair it to the best of my ability. I am being denied my rightful place by the media and by those who wish to cheat me out of it. I have been undefeated since my trophy in 1997, almost 20 years ago, and I have been doing martial arts for over 20 years. I told you they would not be able to beat me. And now, with just 25 days remaining in my challenge, they almost certainly won't, or they would have accepted by the 20th of this month, when I threatened to end my challenge due to a marked increase in cheating. I've been dehydrated to the point where I have blurry vision, sprayed, gassed, fumed, stalked, and harassed. I have pictures of local law enforcement harassing me, which I may or may not share. But I dare you to doubt that I have them, because then I will share them. I deserve my rightful place without condition. If one cannot get his due wages after one has worked so hard without having to conform and to speak in a way that the government approves of, where is the freedom of speech? Where is the freedom of religion? If one cannot start an uncontrolled opposition group, where is the freedom of assembly? If people have been conditioned to listen to controlled liberal media and abhorrent conservative media, where's the freedom of the press? When you do things in a way that does not allow people to have their rightful place or for the truth to be heard, that is not freedom. That is a satanic twist of the word liberty. You are free to behave in a way that we approve of, and we will punish you if you behave in a way that we don't, even if it doesn't break the law. And we shall go to great lengths to make sure that the law reflects our oppressive philosophy and enables us to further our oppression and maintain our artificial order. I promise you, the rich people we have today are not naturally superior. Their allies are not naturally superior. The Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation are repugnant entities that should be dissolved. These people will go to great lengths to twist everything. They expect you not to ask yourselves very obvious and pressing questions, such as, why didn't they beat him? Why didn't law enforcement make any arrests when the multiple felonies were committed against this person? Why do they value the corporate elite stranglehold on society more than justice? Why didn't they give him a fair shake? How can he predict his behavior if there is something wrong with him? Why is it that the 4 people who did interviews with him, who report being drugged, were drugged after doing interviews with him? Why is it that anyone who consistently commented or did interviews with him reports being drugged? Why didn't women appreciate him? How can such an intelligent man, who's better than everyone else at one of the most respectable activities, be stuck at home living with his parents? Why did the rapid blinking begin years after claims of covert drugging? Why do such a small group of people in secret societies hold an inordinate influence over society? Why does, rather? When these psychiatric drugs and pharmaceuticals cause permanent cognitive damage, permanent neurological damage, minor cognitive impairment, and more, why are they allowed? Why are they forced on people? Why do we force medicate people in the psych ward when we can simply treat them as prisoners and throw them in a padded room, put them in 4-point restraints? Why must we drug them as well? Isn't that violating the right to pursue happiness? The freedom of religion? If psychiatry is based on nothing but theories and empirical evidence, which is very subjective, if psychiatry is highly political, and I assure you it is, then isn't it a religion? Aren't they forcing their religion on us? Why is this deplorable process allowed to continue? What is the end game? Does not behavior modification complement a surveillance state when it comes to the purpose of the surveillance state, which is to control, observe, and oppress? Is his philosophy compatible with theirs? They say consume, conform, and obey when you really listen to what they're really saying. And he says resist, defy, and transcend. How is it that such a righteous man has been blacklisted by society, shunned by women? Look at what they did to Jesus, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and more. And now you see the group stalking, the government harassment of the top martial artist because he was right, they couldn't beat him, and he was doing the right thing. How does it end for him? And hasn't everything gone exactly as he predicted? He's not a psychic. Why was he right? Sportsmanlike conduct will be applied, but you will still lose. I have studied the deadly arts for over 20 years, and that includes an emphasis on studying the competition. Nobody can beat me. And it is rather sad that very few people have the honor to come out and say it. Compared to me, the famous celebrities who are martial artists, the sports fighters, they may as well be a dummy, because they would have great difficulty laying a finger on me before I stab them 50 or 60 times, beating a dead horse. And even now, when I talk about violence, and I think of the competition's unscrupulous efforts to cover up the fact that I'm the top martial artist, I maintain my cool. For the exact reason I predicted in the beginning of this video. One of thousands of things I've predicted accurately, precisely, and correctly. That I would behave better in this video than I have in most of my recent videos, excluding maybe the interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, I am right. I can predict my behavior, and they can't. They are drugging me. You all bear witness, whether you realize it or not, to the covert harassment, the surreptitious drugging, the deliberate dehydrating, the fuming, gassing, and spraying, the all-around sabotage of the top martial artist currently, who has done something that no martial artist in American history could dream of. Making a challenge for 3 years, $4,000 now. Fumed, drugged, dehydrated, sabotaged, kept from nutritious food, and more. They did everything to throw off my balance. Even had me involuntarily admitted into the psych ward when we all know there's nothing wrong with me. If there is something wrong with me, then what does that say about the rest of you? Are you just cowards? Or do you have a mental illness that keeps you from acting appropriately, from behaving righteously, and from seeing the truth? If doing the work of God is considered a mental illness, which it is, then does that not make our society satanic? Does that not make conformity and hypergamy extremely, intensely evil? And doesn't it make anyone who seeks to maintain this abhorrent system a mega villain and an inexcusable knave? Thank you. How many black people believe that the white man's plan is limited to putting guns in the ghetto and bringing drugs into the ghetto? And that's it. With all the sciences at his disposal, all the historical Nazi scientists, that he is limiting it to that. Don't underestimate your enemy.